Hey guys, this is Stonework Franchising, and we're hosting Franchise Talk. Now today we have a great concept for you. This is typically a little bit out of our realm for vets. We typically work with vets on a big basis. What we're doing today is we're introducing this concept, which is it's in the food and beverage industry, but not in a way that's I feel is very threatening. I can morally show veterans, and I think that they do very, very well in. I've had several instances with other friends of mine who've looked at similar concepts and found them way out of their price range. But this is something that I think will do well for you guys. All right, we have John and Frank we have them from the let's see, here we go. I want to make sure we get Frank on here first. Frank, give us an introduction for you. Give us an introduction for yourself.
I'm Frank Rappici, the founder of Repicci Franchise Group and Repicci's Italian Ice. We date back from 1998, and we're excited to be a part of the Veterans Program.
I'm John Fogelman. I'm Sales Director for Repicci's Real Italian Ice and Gelato, and I think you're going to find our franchise to be a real fun, exciting, and great opportunity for you to transition back to the United States. And thank you for your service from both Frank and I.
We appreciate that, John. Like everybody I know that is transitioning or having to go through the transition, or coming out of the military, and that's a really big jump. And I'll tell you that personally because it's something that hits home to me. But this show just isn't for them. I've had a lot of feedback too, John. We've had a lot of corporate folks ask. We've had a few people who are coming from corporate America, teachers, a few people who work in the trade crafts, and they were like, well, is this just for vets? I'm not a vet, so I found this to be a very educational experience for all. So with what we're looking at, okay, tell us why your brand is what it is. Describe it a little bit. Give us your drill on it. Show us a little bit more about your brand and your brand strength.
Okay. Again, thanks, Alex. Basically, the brand was started in 1998 from an ongoing exposure that I had to Italian ice from my dad, who was a veteran in World War II that lived in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. As a kid, traveling and vacationing in Philadelphia every other year, Italian ice was one of the treats that I was always looked forward to. So in 1998, I actually brought my young family up to meet their cousins and so forth, and found that we had a business up there through my grandfather and cousin that had begun establishing the Italian ice up in the Northeast, and I brought it down to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and began selling in a concession environment at the softball fields there in Chattanooga, and found out that the acceptance and the excitement of the product was immediate, and began to set up distribution surrounding Chattanooga. And then in 2005, I decided to franchise it so that we could go national. And since day one, we have built the brand. Everything that we have served has been branded, and we continue to do so. We updated our logos and our branding with the new mobile concept this year, and basically real excited to present the new mobile concept to the veterans and the folks that will be viewing this call.
Business so far, how big is it, and where is it looking to grow?
Rapici's has sold 45 franchises roughly, but we have territories all over the United States, even places where you might go on our website and see the location. That does not mean that location is actually taken, because our territory size is 200,000. So it might show someone as, for instance, we have a franchisee in Missouri City, which is Houston, but Houston probably has room for 20 locations. So the franchise started off as a tent, then it went to a trailer, and now it's a truck-only franchise. So what that means is, in order to be able to get a franchise, you have to get a truck. That's what we're trying to establish a brand. Why? And Frank can attest to this more than I can, uh, because the business turns into a full-time business, and it can be a time business with you and your wife, you and your kids, or you can be a passive owner where you can use somebody else to come into it. And one of the things that I think is very important to understand is that there's really no pre-qualification as far as your background to become a Rapici's franchisee. We've got, matter of fact, our franchise in Atlanta, Georgia, just hired a school teacher to actually be their operator for the truck that they have, the new truck that they just got in Atlanta. The one in Denver uses his father, and Frank uses a guy who used to be in the banking business. So, you can operate this thing by yourself. You can operate it with one employee. They can be a contract employee. I mean, it's very simple, easy, but most importantly, it's a fun business to operate.
We're actually looking at the screen right now with how many franchises you currently have. Could you talk to us a little bit more about how the success of why you guys have chosen to go into the mobile model and how successful it's been so far?
Yes, the mobile has been an evolution of our offering. When we started early on, as John mentioned, we're an event-based franchise, and folks would do primarily fairs and festivals, and then we found opportunities to do indoor venues such as the Georgia Dome, Rupp Arena. We do many of the NASCAR tracks, Atlanta Motor Speedway, and so forth. But most of that was on a weekend basis, part-time business. Even with the trailers, it was still more an event-based business. And when we initiated the mobile concept a couple years ago here in Birmingham, I wanted to prove not only to myself but to others that we had established a business that took it into a full-time opportunity, one that if need be could be worked 7 days a week and multiple shifts a day. And we've certainly proven that and been tremendously successful, and in an environment that we had not been able to basically participate in before, because we didn't have the delivery system of a mobile unit to where you could just pull up to a corporate headquarters and do a fire drill, for instance, or a tenant appreciation day, or many of the other office parties and so forth that we found that we're doing, with the mobile concept. And as we all know, mobile concepts have been just exploding across the country in the food truck revolution, so to speak. Our particular niche in the food truck business is one that eliminates prep. It eliminates cleanup at the end of the day, and more than anything, it eliminates waste. Food trucks have typically the crapshoot, so to speak, of how much product to produce and what waste they'll have afterwards if they didn't have enough, or if they had too much product, or if they didn't have enough, then they would be out of product during an event. We typically have the capability of having well over 1,000 servings on our vehicle, of which at the end of the day you just snap the lids back on and drive up, plug up to your commissary or your warehouse, and you'd be ready for the next day. So we've eliminated waste, eliminated prep time, eliminated cleanup time to a degree, and it's just, as John mentioned, a very enjoyable, fun atmosphere that takes a lot of the downside of being mobile out and gives you just a tremendous opportunity to grow.
Yeah, and guys, I want to be able to go over this too. And John and Frank, this is something you may not know about me. I mean, we talked about this a little bit, but to give you guys an idea, this is a simple business, right? And what Frank and John have done is essentially taken a simple business in the first place, and made it simpler, easier, and more fun to operate. And when I was coming out of the military, whether or not you're coming out of corporate America, I've heard this gripe and complaint from not just veterans, but corporate America, even executives. If you want more time, if you want flexibility, but if you want a good business that's easy to operate, calming, enjoyable, if your stress levels in work and your career and your life are through the roof, this might be a good transition. When I came out of the military, I was looking at an ice cream operation of some kind. I was looking at ice cream or something that was real easy for me to understand and just do. My life was overly complex. And really, with this operation, you're taking a lot of that. From what I've got from Frank, is you're taking a lot of that operational bog down that's just everyday operations in progress. You're pretty much eliminating that and just going right to selling a really good product to people without a whole lot of mess involved. Is that right?
Yeah, it's correct. I mean, we've certainly simplified the business, and we've reduced the amount of investment dramatically from a brick and mortar storefront. There's a tremendous amount of risk involved in that, not only in the initial investment level with the build out and so forth of the location, but also in the ongoing overhead of your utilities, your being open 60 hours a week, your labor and personnel involved. So there's a tremendous amount of ongoing overhead that basically we don't have. We have what I call a variable overhead, and it can start with just yourself running the business without any labor, without any employees, without utility bills hanging over your head or a 60-hour work week dominating your schedule. You can work this business on your own schedule and be very flexible in the number of events that you do in a day's time or a week's time, and take time off when you need to take it off. One of the biggest thrills that I get in my business today, as opposed to the corporate world, is that when my grandkids have their soccer games on Tuesday and Thursday, I'm there. The same thing would apply for my kids. But when I was in the corporate world, as my kids were growing up, unfortunately, I didn't have that flexibility, so I missed a lot of those really important times in their lives, and now I'm enjoying them with my grandkids. So it is a business that you control yourself. It's not a hard business to operate. Obviously, those that work hard are the most successful, but we've just had extremely great success with the food truck here in Birmingham, and are willing and ready to share that with our franchisees.
Awesome. And if you can kind of describe, we've already gone over what the business is and really kind of touched on the product itself. Can you tell us a little bit more about the actual the uniqueness of what you guys serve?
Well, Italian ice has been around for a long time. My grandfather came here in 1911 and brought his old world recipe, and up in the Northeast it's very predominant, and it is a unique product in that you've seen a lot of shaved ice or snowball type products that you pour flavoring on, whereas this product is actually manufactured in an ice cream maker, giving it a totally upscale texture and taste as well, due to the ingredients that we use. So it's more like a sherbet or a sorbet. So it appeals not only to kids, which shaved ice products are more geared towards, but also their parents, grandparents, and every demographic across the board. The addition of the Gelato product, which is Italian ice cream, has added a tremendous amount of value to what we sell, because the combination of the two products are excellent. And all by itself, if someone prefers ice cream versus ice, Gelato is an Italian ice cream that is all natural, has less butter fat and less air, which is overrun to increase the yield. So it's a much richer, tastier product than typical ice cream. So our products are not only extremely high quality and well received, but they pretty much cover the demographics from a young child to grandma and grandpa. It's very very exciting business to be in from that standpoint.
Okay. Well, I got a question for John. We've gone through that history and startup, but John, are you there? I see your picture went away a little bit.
Yes, sir. I'm here.
All right. Well, John, can you give me a little bit of description as to what the first year is going to look like for a business owner? I mean, up until break even and what you've seen so far. I know you don't have many franchisees in the system yet, but you guys have a truck, and I know you have a couple.
What 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 we've tried to do is to make the franchise process as simple as possible. So let's just start from the very beginning. The very beginning is yes, I want to own a Rapici's and I want to service the Charlotte area, although it's underwater right now. But let's just say, they whatever area, it doesn't matter. But we have a financing program set up for Repicci's that they can either set up. We have a lease for the truck where they can pay the first and last month lease. That's already set up, all set up. They don't have to do anything other than just give their name and their credit information. Then we also have a financing program set up with an individual company that is willing to do up to 80% of the total investment of the franchise. So, once they make that decision, they arrange for the financing, they pay the franchise fee. They're going to come for a 2-day training course, okay, in Birmingham, Alabama. They'll get to meet Frank face to face. They'll actually get to do some hands-on in the truck, go around the Birmingham area and actually work on scene, so to speak. Then their truck has been we've ordered it to be built out for them, which takes about 6 to 8 weeks. So all of this works great because they can get their training. They can start doing some initial calls to the youth groups, the baseball, the sports, or all of those things like that to try and tell them that they're coming to town. And it's really kind of a neat platform where you don't have to go hard sell anybody. Just say, listen, my truck's coming in. I want y'all to think about me. So you don't have to be an expert salesman. So don't think of that either. Then, then when your truck gets there, it's really cool because the truck has a generator, a heater, air conditioner, steering wheel. It's got 4 tires on it. I mean, it's got everything that you need, including the freezer, the water, the holding tank, the pump, everything. It's ready to go, period. Turnkey. When we say turnkey, we literally mean turnkey. All you got to do is put the product in it. You can go service your first event on your first day. So the first day out of the gate, you're making money as soon as the truck is delivered.
Well, that's awesome, man. What's the liquid cost?
Let me just add this. During the year, you Frank mentioned some of the operational costs. One of the neat operational costs that you don't have to bear in this franchise is any kind of print advertising or billboard advertising. The main reason is because you're driving your billboard. You'll see that when we go through the program, but you'll have people that will actually call you while you're sitting at a red light. They'll read the number off the side of the truck and call you and say, hey, can you come do my wedding event? Can you come do our special event benefit? Can we, anything such as that. So your business will grow just from driving down the road.
And that's awesome. That's one of the reasons why, we look at concepts like this for transitioners because if it's a turnkey system, if it's something simple to understand, and there's a lot of help through that program or help through that process, that's what we're looking for. Because first-time business owners, it's a scary thing, but when you have a good support team like people like yourself that are there to support you, there to help you, and with the partners to make it an easier process, everything really tends to work out. What are your? You'd mentioned a little bit about your support. Could you describe a little bit more support and training that you guys have? You have 2 days. Let's see, 2 days in Birmingham, Alabama, and what else? What else did you have?
Got to get the button to work. Sorry. Well, Frank likes to say that we have 24/7 support for anybody that's in the business. I mean, he is very passionate about the success of his franchisees, and he he does sleep, so I don't want anybody to think that he's maybe superhuman or something. But yeah, he's very interested in talking to anybody. He'll talk to you on the weekends. He'll talk to you at night, whatever's convenient for you. In addition to that, we also have several sources for them to go to, which they will learn in training, and then we'll do ongoing training support after they come through the 2-day training in Birmingham. And those sources give them a lot of leads. Uh, Frank can talk to that more than I can, but there's so many organizations out there. Let me tell you something. Food truck business is a hot business. It is kicking right now. And it's, the neat thing about it is instead of building a ice cream store, I think you indicated earlier that you wanted when you got out of the service, and going and waiting for the build out and going through all the long drawn out process. That's of course if you can get financing. And then open your store. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to start praying. If you haven't prayed before, and I'm sure most of you have been in the trenches, you know how to pray, but you're going to start praying that your competition doesn't come across the street and build a store over there, which is going to kick you, the what. And then the second thing is, you're gonna hope that people are gonna walk in your door even if nobody does build across the street. So all of a sudden you're gonna realize, oh my God, I need to tell them how to walk through my door. So then you got to go through this extensive and expensive advertising to get them to come in. Now, once you establish the traffic, yes, I mean it's good. But the neat thing about our business is you can go to where the action is. And Frank can probably attest to that better than anybody because he's got a great guy that is operating his truck. And I mean, they do everything from church events to softball to soccer to any sporting event that you can name. And car shows, races. We do NASCAR races. We have all kinds of contacts throughout the United States to get somebody started in the business.
Yeah, man, I've seen, that it does seem to be very, very popular because and this is just from a consumer point of view. I mean, I've seen more food trucks pop up in front of big office buildings, big events being catered, and if you're in a city like Jacksonville, I mean, you've got events happening literally every week, and not just like a couple here and there. You've got events scheduled almost every single day of the week in Jacksonville. Guaranteed.
Alex, you're exactly correct. I certainly didn't mean to interrupt, but to tag along John's comments in regards to training, I do sleep, but that's only when my phone that's sitting next to my bed isn't ringing. So I am 24/7 from that standpoint because I want to be there for our franchisees. If in the middle of the night for some reason their freezer is having a problem or whatever, I expect and ask them to call me at any time to rectify the problems. And in regards to the events that John alluded to, the events, the fairs, festivals, sporting events, all the different fundraising events and things that we've always done in the past are enhanced with the mobile concept because now we have corporate events, we have tenant appreciation, employee appreciation, ice cream socials, all the different things on a day-to-day basis that makes our business even that much stronger. For instance, Garrett put on the schedule this morning at a manufacturing company. He's going out for 3 different shifts next Monday for a employee appreciation day. We just did a sorority party at a special event a couple weeks back. We're doing a fire drill coming up for a big corporation. So events that you would not even dream of doing if you didn't have a vehicle in order to be able to pull up, pull in, and pull out, we're able to do with the mobile concept. So it has just been an enlightening and very rewarding area to be in. And as being a treasurer of the Greater Birmingham Street Food Coalition, I've gained a tremendous amount of experience in that whole realm. For instance, we did a food truck event in Birmingham at Railroad Park 2 weekends ago, and in 6 hours we did over 700 servings. So you kind of relate that to a brick and mortar and visualize a line of people 10, 20 deep for 5 hours, and pretty much that's what we had at that event. So the opportunities are plentiful, the support is absolutely without restrictions, and the investment is realistic and reasonable, and the overhead is very workable.
Yeah, when you guys say realistic, I like to reinforce those points. I do, because of a few major things in that. You're looking at, from a broker standpoint, and that's what I am. If you haven't already figured out, or if you haven't seen one of our prior videos, I'm a franchise broker. What my role is to help you find the right franchise for you, and for anybody who's ever had to look around the internet and Google and Bing franchises, you're going to find yourself drowning in a sea of brand names without any idea as to what they mean or who they're about. So that's what this is. And if you're looking at industry as a whole, especially from the broker point of view, which is we consider ourselves to have a good bird's eye point of view from many different industries. When you look at this industry and look at what some of the bigger brands are capable of doing, you're looking at very slim margins for anything brick and mortar, because you have those costs, those fixed costs that you have every month. You have your lease or rent, you have your equipment if you're leasing it. When you're talking about actually just having equipment mobile to be able to go to do that many orders or to fulfill that many servings at a time, you're looking at half the cost of operations with twice as many servings being done. So essentially it just makes good business sense. Even if you're somebody who looks at the brick and mortar being more well established, having more of a grander presence in a community or wherever, you can have just as grand a presence with a rolling billboard and than you can with a brick and mortar if done right. Too many businesses are going out of business right now because they're buried in shopping centers and can't get that view. They can't. People don't know they're there, and it's not their fault. It's just because of where they're at. And with Rapicci's, it's going to be a good sit for you to be able to park in front of a crowd of people, just let them know you're there. It just makes good business sense. So that's from what I've seen in the industries, and why I see this industry increasing, and why those percentages continue to grow up. That's what I've seen. I mean, John, if you have any information to back that up, love to hear it.
Well, the cool thing about the franchise is, particularly about the mobility, is that the more you drive around, the more that you're seeing, the more it increases the chance for you to build your business. And an example that I could give you is one of the franchises in Atlanta. He's driving down the road. All of a sudden he gets his telephone call, and the guy says, "Hey, I'm a property manager, and we have to do fire drills for our high-rise buildings that we manage. Could you, would you work with us? Come and hide around the corner, and when we give you the signal, and the state fire marshal, sends the alarm, would you please go park out in front of the building, and we'll pay for whatever the cost is." So, when they did that, it was a great success. The property management company paid for the catering, and the patrons, they're not hard to get out of the building anymore. Whenever they have a fire drill, they're running down because they know Repicci is going to be down at the bottom. So, and by the way, the building across the street, they called and said, "Hey, can y'all come do ours when we have a fire drill?" So we're just opening up new venues and new opportunities to be able to promote Repicci's more and more and more, versus just sitting in a store waiting for people to walk in and establishing that static market. Ours is going to continue to grow. I mean, that was a whole new thing for us. Now we're going nationwide with going to property managers and making the recommendation to them, "Hey, when you do your fire drill, you might want to consider having us come." makes it easier to get them out of the building, and makes it quicker. And even the fire marshal will be happy. We'll give him a free gelato.
Yeah, I mean, I see that. I see that as a really big kicker for any company who's really wanting to put something on, or big events. I mean, it makes everybody's day. Frankly, that shaved ice, the kind of ice, the almost like a sorbet product that you guys have. I love that stuff. That's a personal thing from me and my
Well,
daughters.
let me
They
tell you
all
this,
love it.
Alex. The difference is, our product, and this is something that we love. We have competitors. I'm not going to name them or give them the benefit of, but you can figure it out. All you got to do is go to the internet. We love it when they're there. We like it. Matter of fact, we prefer to park right next to them because we'll beat them hands down because of the product. Okay, there's a major difference. It's kind of like if you go eat at a Five Guys or you go eat at a McDonald's. There's a marked difference in the hamburger. And it's basically the same thing for us when we park next to any of the competitors. Ours stands hands above uh, any of the competition. And the neat thing is, I'm a grandfather. I have 6 grandkids, another one on the way. And the neat thing is, when you go to a if I were to walk up and see one of the competitors that only offers the shaved ice, where you pour the syrup in there and it's got about 10 times more sugar than the kids ought to really be getting,
Ain't that right?
I'm not going to buy one. I'll buy one for the kids. I'll regret it later once they start, speeding around the park or whatever. But if I see a Rapici's, I'm definitely going to go up there because I'll get me a gelato and get them anything they want. And they've got excellent flavors for the kids. So it really is a franchise that is for all ages, and it is truly a sweet taste of Italy.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's that I see. I've actually had you guys in North Jacksonville. I had to go try you guys out. So I got a chance to go up there and have some, and yeah, hands down, that's delicious. I had to get my kids some, then I got some. My wife, she was like, okay, well, she let me have some. I'm usually like, no, I'm trying to be on a diet. I'm trying to get back into deployment shape. I'm like, no, I can't do that. Okay, I'm on a cave in, and then I tried some, and I bought a couple more. So it's really good. Just saying. But overall, if you're looking at it as a business, are you capable of owning multiple trucks? Would you consider that for a bigger area?
Without question. I mean, we're here in Birmingham. We have the van. We also have a concession trailer, and we're looking towards an additional van as we move forward into 2016. And basically, the beauty of it is you're not betting the farm until you've actually experienced and grown your business. So that's what I mean by variable overhead. We can add a van knowing that we'll have events to support a second vehicle, rather than us forcing you to have all this equipment and all multiple units in your initial franchise. We want to keep the initial franchise offering low and let you grow your business and your overhead along with your booking of events and calendar and so forth.
Okay, and that makes a lot of sense. I mean, you grow with a company, you start small, you don't have all your eggs in one basket, and you try and move forward with what you got, and that'll create a better plan in the long run. Most of the time when I'm helping folks through, like seeing that if they have something that's very, very large, very well established, it's okay with master franchise deals. But in this case, it seems like you have a very good growing strategy. So it's good to hear. I wanted to talk numbers with you guys for a little bit. I like to cover exactly what the requirements or hurdles to entry are for this business, because a lot of our viewers, a lot of the people who come on and I talk to on a regular basis, clients that I talk to, have trouble understanding exactly what is required of them, and it's really hard. And it's a really broad question, particularly in franchises, because there's so many, and some of the definitions are a little odd or off or worded different. But I've got your PowerPoint pulled up here. I'm going to show it. If you could take us through the numbers real quick. What's your franchise fee, total investment? Can you describe some of these things, and can you describe this slide for us in a little bit?
Okay, do you want to do it with the slides, or do you want me to just speak to it?
I'm throwing the slides up now.
Okay. You know, one thing I wanted to add, by the way, before we go any further is, you know, Frank was talking about expansion of territories. There's two ways to expand. A, you can expand within your own territory, which is what Frank was talking about. They're going to have to add a truck, or you can, you know, after you buy the initial truck for your franchise territory, we have the option for you to be able to buy an event trailer, concession trailer, for you know, for inside your territory. If you want to expand outside of your territory, we give a reduction in the franchise fee, as well as you know, when you buy a second truck and find an operator for it, so you become a passive owner and you can maintain and monitor both of your trucks and make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So, you know, more to that later. The franchise fee, I mean, I hate when people put up PowerPoints and you just sit there and read it. I think everything's pretty much there for you, but you know, with the $25,000 franchise fee, that's when you're committed. When you're working with good brokers like Alex, just keep in mind any questions that you have that might come up during this program, during this showing. You know, feel free to call Alex and say, hey, can we call and talk to Frank and maybe ask some more questions for better clarification. That you're not obligated, period, until you pay this franchise fee. The franchise fee, $25,000. We have our initial investment of $155 to $165, which the majority of that is the truck. We have the financing setup, which I indicated earlier, and that's, you know, where we have the truck, where you pay the first and last payment of the truck on the lease, just the first payment and the last payment, which means that when you start the lease, your first payment is paid for. So it's not, you know, that you have money out of pocket. The only money that you would have out of pocket at the end of the lease would be the last payment, of course. But that's their requirement. They'll finance the rest of the truck in entirety. The truck runs around $110,000, so it's a majority of the total investment. And they'll do a 6-year lease, and at the end of the lease, you pay them $1 and you own the truck. So we thought that was a great advantage to our franchise offering, because basically means you have to come in with about $50,000. So, and we do have a discount. We offer a $5,000 discount for veterans. So, you know, with the current or past veterans, all you have to do, we just need to substantiate your being a veteran, and we offer the discount. So the franchise fee would be $20,000 for you. Territory size is 200,000. It's population based, and you know, trust me when I tell you, and Frank can verify this better than I can, but 200,000 is that's a lot of market to cover with one truck, and you're going to have a lot of trouble, because the business, once it starts pouring on, it's going to get tough to cover that. So you might think it's not enough, but trust me when I tell you, it's quite a bit. Training days, Birmingham, 2 days. It's, you know, we have classroom and field training in the truck, and actually doing sales. And we'll teach you everything from, you know, how to get the business license, how to get the health license, you know, how to set up your storage for your freezer storage. I mean, whatever it'll cover everything. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Well, this is actually one of the best ways I can show. You know, I know PowerPoints are what they are. You know, frankly, it's always tough for me to sit through them, especially after all the ones we saw in the military. You know, any guys coming out of the military, they've been PowerPointed to death. But the one thing I like to make sure of is that, you know, okay, well, there's a good understanding of what those are and what those mean. The franchise fee, guys, like they said, is not exactly the entire investment. It's what you have to come through, get brought into the system, get trained, and pretty much execute, and then the rest of the cost is going to be accrued as business goes on. The franchise fee is what starts you out and what gets you in the system, gets you trained. So the total investment, I mean, with what they have, you're looking at coming into this business at $50,000, like you said. It's not a very large investment when you're talking about a franchise, and particularly when you're talking about food and beverage. And a business, when you're talking about financing a business, it's its own entity. So it's financed in a much different way than, say, a car loan. And we've covered that in some other episodes, so please feel free. I'll throw in a link up there during this part of the discussion to show you the different leasing options, the different ways you can step in and finance a franchise, so that you guys are pretty well informed of what your options are. I'll have some for guys coming out of corporate. Most of the folks that I know that come from corporate are pretty well versed. But some of the guys that come out, that have come out of the military with me, sometimes we don't have a good handle on everything that we need to do. So got that for you. But once again, guys, if do you guys have any questions for me at all?
Alex, I don't. I just want to reiterate the excitement that we have in being able to work with and help veterans get back in the transition, and we'll do everything that we can to make them successful.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. I really do, and I know everybody else does as well. We see a lot of companies that come through that are trying to do what they can to help support veterans in transition, trying to help support veterans in working and stepping out into the civilian world and being successful. A lot of us really want that. We really want time with our families. We really want to, or be very successful and very hardworking. I mean, that's what makes us the best franchisees, bar none. That is something that I've preached from day one coming out of the military, and realizing not only the statistics and the reason why I initially wanted a franchise for myself, but the fact remains that a lot of my friends, leaders, buddies have fallen flat on their faces, and they need some way to structurally form themselves and get themselves moving out of the military. We found that employment doesn't really do that a whole lot. Most veterans who step into their first year, their first job, they don't stay. Most of the time, they usually change jobs 2 or 3 times before they actually settle down somewhere and get comfortable. Is there anything that you guys wanted to tell us before we hopped off the air?
I wanted to tell all I want to say, and I'll go before Frank so he can close it out. I first want to thank you, and I want to thank all of those veterans that might be viewing this, and tell them thank you very much for allowing me at 60 years old to stay safe in the United States, and especially all of my grandkids. So we appreciate your service. We really are anxious and excited about, I'm not supposed to say anxious, that's right, Frank. We're excited about the prospect of having our first veteran on the team, because I think once we get that first veteran, we're going to have a hard time keeping him from bragging to all the other guys that he knows about how wonderful an opportunity this is. We tried to make it as simple as we could, and we will work with this veteran any way and every way that we possibly can to make this a success for both of us. I thank you, Alex. I appreciate your time. We're excited about working with you. And, again, I'll just tell everybody that's watching, remember, you don't pay Alex anything. So, he's basically offering his service and his time to you to be able to realize the right choice. And, of course, we believe the right choice is Rapici's. Thank you very much for this time.
Thanks, John.
No, I'd just like to say thanks for everybody's time and reiterate what John mentioned about our appreciation of what veterans have done for us and continue to do for us to keep us safe. And let me leave you with one thing, guys. We've been in this business for 17 years, and I always make the remark tongue-in-cheek that had my opportunity been available to me 17 years ago, I would have saved hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that's no exaggeration. So we've already made the mistakes, and we're here to offer you our expertise and our true support on an ongoing basis to make you as successful as what we currently are.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Everything that you guys have said is 100%. You're looking at a franchise being what it is. It's a turnkey operation that's supposed to support you with infrastructure, a brand name, and a way to be an owner. They're essentially teaching you how to be an owner of their company, a partner in their company, and are establishing open lines of communication to ensure success. This is one of the biggest keys to any business that's either startup or otherwise. And the growth and the development of a franchise, they've already taken the risks, they've started up a company, they've optimized their systems to the best extent and the best extent possible. They know how to change, they know how to exist in any industry that they function in. That's why a veteran corporate guy who's worked with worked for somebody else and made them money for way too long.
Thanks for watching
even if
Franchise
you've
Talk.
been an
Please
executive.
subscribe to our channel and don't forget to like and share us on social media. We are committed to assisting you so that you find franchises without the frustrations of internet searching and sites selling your information before you even get a chance to talk to franchises. If you want to simplify your life and have someone to facilitate your information collection, I'm here to be your personal resource and one-on-one coach. If you would like to be a guest on the show, to ask franchise bigwigs questions or contact me for franchise support, check out for my contact information below down in the description. Thanks for watching.